Welcome to another episode of See in the Lobby. It's time for us to do words about women's sports. Does that sound good to you, Marissa?
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do. We will kick off this session with what we talk about seemingly every fucking week, but we have no choice but to continue to do it because she keeps doing insane things. Caitlin Clark once again ran through the Big Ten championship, ran through the whole tournament, if we're being completely honest, posted a 37, 17, and 10 line in what a championship game that needed a mercy rule. It was
Literally
never
was bad.
interesting for a single second. What's good with that?
She's made me a believer.
Like instantly.
Kaylin's made me a believer. I mean, 30, 17, and 10. 17 assists. That's skill there. I think that's what honestly impresses me the most about her game is the way she can see the floor in her IQ. Like the passes she makes, the way she sees the floor, that takes a lot of talent. When we went to the Maryland game when they played Iowa, I was super impressed with her not forcing the game and letting the game come to her, and she was still making the right basketball play every possession. So like I think that's an underrated part of her game. You see these crazy 30-footers she's taking and hitting these heat checks, but to be able to do that, get those type of assists, and then rebound. I have a question for you, my friend.
I'm here to answer them. That's
Caitlin
what I'm being
Clark
paid to
and Anescu in college. Who are you picking?
Ooh, that's really spicy. We just started.
We're getting spicy on this Monday.
It's 11 o'clock. Very interesting. I've actually kind of thought about the two of them just because they are point guards, triple-double machines, obviously in a similar time frame. I don't think that Sabrina had these types of passes that Caitlin is throwing. I think the most impressive thing to me about Caitlin's game is the way she sees plays happen 4 seconds before even the person catching the ball realizes what's about to happen. Like a cut is there and she's throwing a behind the head pass that's leading them to the basket seemingly over and over again. And Sabrina obviously was an amazing player. I don't think Sabrina saw the court as well as Caitlin has seen the court. And that's crazy to say about a player who still has 1, maybe 2 more years in college. I think prime Caitlin Clark is, I've never seen a player like it.
I'm gonna go with that too. And I mean, I feel like when they compared Clark to freaking Steph Curry, they could have
just been doing this.
They had somebody
literally
they could have compared her to.
So easy to do.
But no, I agree with you. I think Sabrina's a great player, but the passing ability, I'm giving that edge to Caitlin. And to your point, in the championship game, the Big Ten championship game, there's a transition. She had a pass. She had it in her right hand. She made a bounce pass across her body to her post play running in transition. The ball got kicked, but it was an amazing pass. She makes it look easy, and those things aren't hard to do. I mean, easy to do. But I'm giving. If I had to pick, I'm giving it to Clark. I think Clark is having the better college career.
Caitlin has insane confidence, especially for a junior. I've just never seen someone at ease throw passes that if I ever even thought of, I was getting ripped from a game in high school, and she's doing it at the biggest stage in college. Yeah. And it's not even, obviously we're like oohing and eyeing at everything she's doing still, but it's kind of routine at this point. Like Caitlin's throwing this kind of pass, and you're like, yeah.
I mean, and there's so many factors that come into that. Like having a coach that believes in you is such a huge thing because you can, just let the game come to you. And if you're feeling it and, taking those shots, making those passes. So to have, the confidence of your coach and your team, like that plays a big part into it too. But I mean, yeah, I'm giving the upper hand to Clark on this one. She's completely made me a believer. The only thing I want to see her get better at is like owning her shit.
Same word.
Like if
I've heard you talk about
this. Talk shit.
You said you heard it when you were courtside.
Yeah, like Cheyenne was shutting her down, and she shoulder checked Shy into the chest and fell, and she's looking at the ref like, what? Like, dog, everybody saw you do it. Just own it. Like if you're gonna do it, own it. She does complain a little bit too much to the refs for me. Maybe that's what gets her going. But I just want to see her own her shit some more. If that's the type of player you are want to be, you got to step all the way into it. Because when you kind of teeter, it's kind of like it doesn't feel authentic. So she got to lean all the way in.
But listen, fighting with the refs sounds like Someone we might see in the lobby one day.
Yeah, but DT always owned that shit. DT was never shying away from it. You ask DT what she said, she's going to repeat it.
I feel like DT was also the type of player, if she didn't do something, she'd be like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, so I just want to see Caitlin own her shit a little more, and then maybe I'll be a true.
So get it. Listen, I think maybe if she makes a deeper tournament run than whatever the hell last year was, then she'll have that head swagger to be able to do whatever.
I think she does have the potential to be that tournament player, that player that everybody is locked in. Games at 3:07, everybody's locked in to watch. But we'll see. It should be a fun tournament.
This leads us in. You want to ring the bell?
Of course I do.
The National Player of the Year conversation now. A couple of interesting notes to hit on with this one. I think we should start with the biggest one, which is that the list of 15 finalists came out. Angel Reese of LSU, who's averaging 25 and 16, undoubtedly one of the best 15, maybe top 5, maybe top 3. An LSU team that's lost twice all year wasn't on that list. Kim Mulkey said it was not because of academic reasons. For some reason, Angel did not qualify for the list, is what the NCAA is saying for the reason for why she isn't there. What's going on with that?
When you initially sent me that, I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Like, how is Angel Reese not on this list? But then when we got context information, I mean, either way you swing it, it's not a good look. Whether her academics are in good standing, and then it's like if characters coming into play, if some of the other criteria, either way you swing it is not really a good look, because she's definitely a top 5 player in the country right now. And this season, she's broke records and everything this season. She's having
double machine.
Yeah, a great season. So for me, either way you look at it, it doesn't really look good that she's putting up the numbers she is, and she's helped turn LSU around and put them back on like that national conversation. And she's not able to make a list of that 15. Hopefully it spark something in her to make some changes. I'm all for being fiery and playing with that intense passion, but you kind of have to know when to do it, when not to, when certain things to say. And there's a way to go about it to kind of keep it where it's, I don't want to say like family friendly, but just where it's not as gross, I guess, in certain ways. And sometimes you don't have to respond to everything on social media. Sometimes you just gotta let your game talk. So for me, I was shocked she wasn't on that list, but then when we got the context, like
I still am.
Yeah.
People were like, even before we knew the full context, people were like, who are you taking off that list if you're gonna put Angel on it? And I was like, this is no shade to anyone on that list. If you're on that list, you're obviously a very good player. But I'm like, I could cross off
everybody but Clark in Boston.
Probably. I mean, Angel Reese, I'd say it's probably the third best player this year. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I either way you shake it, it doesn't look good. Like Kim Mulkey said, like community service day. Like I can't, and to my knowledge, it might have changed since I was in college, but no players are actively seeking out community service.
Who has that time?
For a class or like you're doing it as a team. I know she's top 3 in the country right now, so unfortunate. She'll have a chance next year. So hopefully, whatever box she didn't check this year, she's able to.
She needs to be on that list next year.
Yeah,
I agree. So we kind of agreed here. Angel is number 3, which means we have to pick a number 1 between Caitlin and Aaliyah Boston. Caitlin putting up the crazy triple-double numbers. Aaliyah's numbers a little deflated from last year, but for a now undefeated team in South Carolina, where do you stand?
I give the edge to Caitlin. With South Carolina, Aaliyah's numbers have dwindled, but it's because other people's games have stepped up. So you see,
and she's not playing full games.
Yeah, right. So because other people have stepped up for South Carolina, her numbers have dwindled. They're the undefeated team in the country right now, number 1 team, defending national champions. So I mean, she's still definitely in that conversation, and I think with keeping all those in my mind and those factors, she's like Caitlin's here and like Aaliyah's right here. But I give the edge to Caitlin. I think her lowest scoring game this year was 19. And I mean,
if I scored 19 points in a game, that would be pictures on my fridge.
Yeah. And, and if you look at what she's even done the last couple of weeks, she had the game winner against Indiana, and then she puts up 30, 17, and 10, knocks out our beloved Terps. I think, and because of her IQ and the way she, she can pass the ball on top of her scoring and what she's meant to Iowa. You take her off of Iowa, we're not sitting here talking about them at all.
No.
You remove Aaliyah from South Carolina, they're definitely a drastically different team, but they still would be a tournament team. Yeah. Iowa's not. So if you're looking at who's the most important to their team and just body of work this season, I'm going to give it to Clark.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, again, unquestionably South Carolina is the best team, but that comes with some level of compromise, and that compromise is that your star player isn't getting the gaudy numbers that maybe guarantee them a National Player of the Year award, which is fine. Aaliyah's done this before. I doubt she really cares.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, for real. I mean, definitely in the conversation. But what Caitlin is doing, I'm trying to remember how many players I've ever thought this highly of in college and being like, oh my God. And she is appointment television at this point.
And unfortunately, the way these awards seem to work is whoever has the most hype too. Like
100%.
We heard so much about Aaliyah last year. She had put up great numbers. This year, literally all you hear about is Clark and like her heroics, these crazy shots she's taking. So I think that's going to play a part because 100%. She is all you hear about. You don't hear much about Aaliyah. You're hearing more South Carolina talks this season. Last year was more Aaliyah, then South Carolina was secondary. This year, in my opinion, you're hearing more about South Carolina as a whole and what they're doing as a team. And then it's because of Aaliyah Boston. You know what I mean?
100%. Bell time? I'm going to let you lead off this one for our favorite team that scores negative amounts of points.
Let's go Duke.
Shout out to Duke.
Yeah. First, let's praise them.
Go ahead.
They were picked to finish, I think, like 7th or 8th in the ACC this season. They finished 2. So what Kara's
for real.
She's building that team back. It's nice to see Duke back in, top 25. Carolina as well, because those are the teams that I was always competing against to win championships. So it's nice to see them back up top. And you just think of what Duke and Carolina have meant for the women's game. But they are hard to watch. Like their total game scores are what Duke used to have at like halftime. So I've watched their last few games, and their games against Carolina, literally like
the ACC is all about winning ugly.
It wasn't pretty. It wasn't fun. Like 40-44. That's like those third graders that were like hyping. You remember the third graders?
They were got mad about.
I think their game scores were like the same. So it's
low scoring.
Yeah,
it's low scoring.
I don't know. Yeah.
Big Ten and ACC have completely different energies. Mm-hmm. Completely different.
Which is crazy. Like, it's so hard for me because I'm so ACC. I grew up in Maryland. Maryland was always ACC. I played in the ACC. So it's different to see, like, I'm watching these games. Like, for Virginia Tech, shout out to them for winning the ACC championship. But that's just, it's like, what? There's no Duke Carolina in the championship game.
And Louisville's been disappointing too, even though they've been hot.
Notre Dame, without Olivia Miles, it's tough.
And Mabry, they've had a crap year.
But yeah, the ACC, those games, they are hard.
It's a different
to watch.
World.
It's like I'm watching. I'm like, gosh, like this is why people clown women's basketball. No,
ACC is a rock fight, an absolute rock fight.
And even with the Iowa Ohio State game, I'm like, this a friend of mine I golf with, he's texting me watching it, and he appreciates women's basketball. I'm like, dang, I wish he wasn't watching this game because
it was a beat.
Like you said, it needed the mercy rule, but
it did for a championship.
Yeah.
Game. We're gonna stick on the ACC train to talk about a former friend of our team who is going through it currently. Ashley Owusu, at this point, not in the rotation at all for Virginia Tech, a player who we saw as a Big Ten first team player at Maryland, a piece that Maryland thought they would be building for years. Someone who WNBA scouts thought could be a first round pick at some points, but what's up with Owusu?
It's honestly sad because I was a big Owusu fan when she was at Maryland, and obviously my loyalties are to the school. So I'm not saying I'm not a fan of hers anymore. I think Ashley's great. So, but I just think it shows that the grass is not always greener. And these players that want to transfer at the first sight of trouble, you guys need more stick to it. You guys need more resilience and resolve. Like it's not easy, especially players that want to play at the next level. You don't have the luxury in the W to think you're supposed to be playing and quit. Where are you gonna quit and go? Like you have to find ways to just get over that hurdle and that hump. You look, she was averaging 15 and like what? 15 and 3 last year in Maryland, was in All-American conversations, Player of the Year conversations. I was watching Virginia Tech play this weekend and I honestly forgot that she was on the team because she didn't play a single second. So it's unfortunate to see where she is, even more so if she's trying to come out this year. I haven't seen her on anybody's draft board.
That's what I was going to say too, because she said that she's not going to take her 5th year of eligibility in school, which I think means she's going to declare for the draft. Is that the right call?
If Ashley sees this, and I would take that 5th year. I think she was injured this year. There may be other things going on, but I think she needs another year because I do think she still has the talent to be a good pro, but maybe it's time to like level set, reset, use this summer to really, get back in shape, get the injury under control, and get better. That jump to college to the pros is not easy. I mean, Plum talks about it openly and honestly about how like she didn't know how to train to be a pro. That transition's hard. There aren't tools in place to help you make that transition. So to come off a season where you weren't playing much, you weren't healthy, and to try to make that jump to make a team, because she's not going to be a first-round pick.
Nope.
She's going to be fighting for a spot. So I don't know if it's the most wise thing to do after not playing much this season, being hurt this season, whatever may be going on mentally, because you went from playing 25-plus minutes at Maryland to not playing at all at Virginia Tech. I don't think it's a wise move. The W is not going anywhere. If you have that extra year, I say take it and try to come back stronger, improve, because scouts too, these teams, they're going to be asking the coach questions.
Oh, yeah.
Not only Kenny at Virginia Tech, but they're going to be asking Coach B, what was she like at Maryland? Why did she leave? They're going to be asking Kenny, how did she handle it when she didn't play? So those things are coming to factor. So yeah, I think she should take that other year.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Because in the W, we've talked about this before, but there are 12 first-round picks. Sometimes not even those 12 players make a roster. So if you're a second-round pick, you are fighting the smallest % chance to make a team. And if you don't make a team, how do you prove to other teams that may want you down the line that you are ready if you're not playing in college? I always found that was probably the most difficult part. Like how many times can those players do private workouts with teams before they're signing those short-term 2-week contracts or whatever they may be? It's got to be really hard, right? It's probably easier to come back in college and prove that you have a full year of, hey, I'm the person I was 2 years ago, not the person I was last year, rather than trying to fight this narrative that everyone's gonna remember your last year in college as like, oof, she wasn't even in the rotation.
Yeah. I mean, my advice to college players in general is like hold on to those 4 years, and if you can take the extra and feel like it's best for you, take that extra year because it goes by fast. Yep. Like I had a lengthy professional career, was super, super lucky to have the career I had. I mean, obviously put in the work, but to play 10 plus years professionally, that's rare, but it goes by so quickly. So if you have that extra year and you are, teetering, making a team, stay the extra year. It's not always sweet. And number one is like, there's this entitlement and arrogance a lot. I mean, I had it. I was the number 2 pick. I'm an All-American. Like I'm thinking shit sweet. Then I'm getting to the league. I'm like, well, goddamn, Katie Smith, Deanna Nolan, Diana Turner. You know what I mean? Like, you get humbled real quick. Like you're playing the pool from high school to college to pro. That pool shrinks. So you're playing against literally the best players day in and day out in the W. It's not like there's 30 plus teams in the NBA like we were talking about earlier, and there may be a couple people that sneak on a roster. It is hard to make a team. So everybody on that team is nice. So it's easy to make that transition as people think. Like You're hard to find unless you were the elite of the elite that had a seamless transition from college to the W, because you do come in with like, I'm nice. I'm the top pick. I was an All-American. Everybody's an All-American in the W. Everybody was nice. So for Ashley, and like I really think she could benefit from taking that other year and just kind of reevaluating some things.
This is always the thing that gets me. And there are the same amount of men's and women's college basketball teams, 350-ish or so. There are 144 spots in the WNBA that we now know all teams don't even fill them all. So sometimes there's 11. There's probably realistically like 140-ish spots on a WNBA team compared to 450 in the NBA. So you're already down to 140. Then you're down to players who actually play in the rotation, right? So you're down to the top 110-ish in the world.
In the world.
So not even just the best players in college. You have the Emma Miesemans coming over from overseas and competing as well. So you are competing night in and night out against the top 110-ish players that exist on the planet on that day.
Right.
And if you're a player who maybe you're a second round pick, you're maybe getting 5 minutes every now and then to try to prove yourselves, and you have to do it against one of those players.
Right. And then take it even a step further, when you're trying to make a team, when you're not a top 5, top 10 pick, or know like you're probably going to make the roster, on those teams there might be one spot you're competing for.
Yep.
So you're not even competing for a whole spot. You look at a team, Vegas, and if you get drafted to Vegas and New York, y'all just
curtains
and enjoy training camp. I mean, no disrespect to anybody that's going to those
It's not
teams.
going to happen. Yep.
But it's not going to happen. Look at a team like DC, maybe 1 or 2 spots. Maybe. For somebody that's on the cuffs like a Owusu that really needs to prove herself, the only teams that I feel like she could maybe compete for a spot is like an Indy.
Yep.
Your favorite team, possibly Dallas. You know, like
yeah, there are not enough spots.
So there's like not only the 144, but then you go to the actual available spots that if you are not going to be on the roster where you're actually fighting for that position, it's maybe 1 a team. Maybe. Like I've seen it in training camp where the returners, we know that this 10, we'll say, are all going to be on the team. And then you see in training camp, there's 19 people in training camp coming through the course of it. That's really only 2 spots available.
I can't even imagine like that type of anxiety. But yeah, you can be you can be the number 15 player in the country right now, and you have almost no chance of making a team.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And it's not to discourage anybody at all, but it's like the reality. Like you got to come and be ready, and you have to, check your ego at the door. We all have them, but like that's my best advice. So we had this long chat, but I really think Ashley should stay another year. I think she is great. She reminds me so much of Chelsea Gray and how she plays, but she could truly benefit from another year. And if I'm Ashley, I kind of want a redemption season. Like she tweeted, "Free me." Show the people show them that you still are that player, and don't. I feel like by her losing, she's in a way like proving some people like they were right about her. Like I think staying and showing that she has that resolve and, that she can stick with it will prove a lot. I mean, forget the critics. People are always going to have their opinions, but prove to W teams. And she's a point guard, so it's very important too to show that you can weather the storm.
I agree. Well, I hope we see Owusu in the W, but I hope she is able to build back the Owusu that we saw at Maryland.
Yeah,
that's a different player.
Yeah, she's nice. Player. Yeah, she's super. I mean, you want to talk about passing abilities, her way to get to the basket, using her strength. So yeah.
Bell time. The return of AZ Fudd. I'm not sure that we knew she was going to play again this year. It was a little dicey at times, so I was very excited to see her step on the court. Obviously, she's played at this point in the recording. UConn is about to play in the Big East Championship game, so we haven't seen that yet. She's played spot minutes in the first 2 games of the tournament. Not done anything crazy, but her existing on the court is still huge.
Yeah, I mean, you put AZ Fudd on back in your lineup, they're not going to not guard her. She's a bucket. I mean, I think the way like slowly incorporating her into these games heading into the tournament, it is smart. And then there'll be, this week of practice to continue to build on that. She's a gamer. I have no doubt that we'll see the AZ that we know at some point in the tournament. I think it definitely is a boost for UConn. I still don't think it gets them into that like Final Four push, but it definitely changes the game because in the tournament, who knows, anything can happen.
I was gonna say, yeah, and in the first 2 games so far, teams are still respecting AZ as if she's the AZ pre-injury, which I think matters the most for UConn, right? Even if she isn't that 100% threat that she was 2 or 3 months ago, the defense is keeping her honest, which is helping free up her teammates in other ways, which is really useful. I'm curious to see how they'll do against a tough Villanova team. Because I feel like they are trying to once again prove that they are Final Four worthy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm actually excited to see this UConn Villanova game to see.
Yep. Seagrass.
Yeah. To see her play. Haven't watched her play, but heard a lot about her. So it'll be it'll be fun. It's UConn. So I mean, and then you think too, if you're a team and you're playing UConn, they're just given the respect because of what they've done. So they're naturally going to get a few points when they play teams because some teams are like, oh shit, I'm playing UConn. I don't know. We'll see.
Bell? we had a fan question.
Ooh, we got fans.
Because we've got some of those. And we've we've touched on this a little bit now with the extra COVID year stuff, but we talked about a player in Owusu who we think needs to prove herself a little more to get drafted. There are players who have proven themselves. Caitlin Clark has now talked about this and the potential for her to stay a 5th year. Aaliyah Boston hasn't gotten like official confirmation yet. We think she'd be the number 1 pick, but it's not out of the question for her to want to stay in school for whatever reason for another year as well. Do you think that the top tier elite players in college basketball who are going to be lottery picks no matter what the heck happens, do you think there's potential for them to actually go through with it and stay another year in college?
I think so. If I had a COVID year, I would have stayed a 5th year, 100%. Even without a doubt. I love my time at Maryland so much. If I could go back and do all 4 years again, like it was the best 4 years of my life, hands down. And then we got knocked out. We lost to Louisville in Elite 8. We should have beat them. We were the better team. There was other factors going on because we were playing like one of our old assistants in Coach Walls. But I would have wanted that redemption. I would have convinced KT to come back, and we would have ran it back because we were a Final Four team that year for sure. But I would have come back even without NIL. I would have taken that 5th year. But right now, I think adding NIL to it, and we haven't figured out yet as a women's basketball community how to. You see the popularity of women's college basketball and how to translate that to the W. We haven't quite figured that out. So you see a lot of these players that have this hype in college, and then in the W, it kind of nosedives a little bit. So we haven't figured out how to keep that same excitement with players. I mean, you look at the last 5 years, players that have been super hyped, and like a Plum. She got to the W, you didn't hear about her much anymore. I mean, now you are. Inescu, it's still, you don't hear about these players the way you do that same level. So from an NIL perspective, like I think so, especially if you're a player that your stock isn't necessarily going to drop. Aaliyah's stock's never going to drop. Clark's stock is never going to drop. So, I mean, it's definitely worth taking consideration, especially if you're a player that has these NIL opportunities. Might take another year.
Here's my question. Should the W be afraid of that? Or should they almost embrace it because they're on this level of trying to figure out how to grow celebrity? Because in some ways, Caitlin or Aaliyah staying in college and becoming even bigger names maybe helps the WNBA. Or maybe you look at it from the WNBA perspective of, damn, we need to get Caitlin and Aaliyah in ASAP because we want those fans. I guess, how do you see it?
I don't think the W should be scared. I just think it's kind of that ongoing, how do we bridge that gap? How do we merge the two fans? At Maryland, we had 12, 13, 14 playing Duke or Carolina, 17,000 and it was Comcast at the time. But then go to the Mystics games. It's like there was 3 Terps on that team. It just never. It's how do you get those fans involved? So if I'm the W, it's not something that worries me. I think if anything, to your point, it gives them the opportunity to try to figure it out. Like how do we get the Caitlin Clark fans? How do we get those Iowa fans following the W? How do we get the Leah Boston and South Carolina fans to follow the W? So it's something I don't have the answer. I don't know what it is. It's hard because with college, it's more of the fandom and like the. I grew up in Maryland. I went to Maryland, so it's more like there's more connectivity. You feel closer to that. It's like the pride, and the league hasn't been around long enough to really have that like generations of fans. So I don't know the answer, so I don't think it hurts the W, but I do think you're going to see some players that are like, yeah, I'm going to take that 5th year, get some more NIL deals in.
Listen, if you're putting high 6 figures in the bank and competing for another championship, setting some records, pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, I think like if you know that you have a good incoming class coming next year, returning a lot of people, and can contend for a title, why not? Especially... say Clark does come back we'll use her example. She does come back for her 5th year and they have a team that can compete for a title and she hasn't won one to that point. Why not?
Yeah.
Because everybody's goal in college is to win a national title. So if you get one more year to do it.
There's one scenario I keep playing through my head where this works out really advantageously to the WNBA. And it's the one in which they actually get their shit together and get these expansion teams rolling. I think the most disappointing thing, at least from the fandom side, is we know this 2024 draft class is going to be super good or can be super good, and the league has already said, like, maybe 2 more years till we have an expansion. Like, to me, it makes so much sense to try as hard as possible to line up expansion with these elite college players, because what's cooler for an Iowa fan if Caitlin Clark is the number 1 pick for a brand new team in a brand new city with brand new jerseys, and it's a complete new fan base, and you get to own it as like, this is the team with Caitlin Clark and it's brand new. You can start the journey with us and you're starting it with Caitlin. Seems like a great idea. And that same thing can be said for Angel Reese, for Paige Beckers, for whoever comes out in that whatever year that expansion year is. So I hope the league is really buckling down and trying to get these new teams out there, because this is the time, starting it with these elite college players. Hopefully those timelines add up right.
No, I agree. I that's a very good point. Never looked at it that way, but yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah, but yeah, I think these players, why not? Why not enjoy college? The real world is hard, y'all. It's hard.
I'm sick of this shit already.
I don't like being an adult.
It's 12 o'clock. I've got these cameras in my face.
I don't like being an adult. It is like, again, W is great. Like, I got to live out my ultimate dream. It becomes a business too. So like, the longer you can like hold on to like the purity of it, and like you're literally just out there. You're not worried about playing overseas and, oh shit, I gotta leave in 2 weeks and go overseas and pack up. You're not worried about
secondhandly
this young player coming to try to take your spot, or like you're literally just out there. You have all your teammates in one spot, all your friends in one spot. Like, it's so pure. Like, enjoy it as long as you can. Your professional life is never going to go anywhere. You're always gonna have the opportunity if you're one of those players. Yep. And it's super fun. I'm so thankful.
The way I walk around Maryland and see how everyone stares at you, I'm like, shit, you would have stayed 10 years.
I mean, I was so college. I embraced everything about college. Like, what was the song? I love college.
Oh, you're gonna bring back Sammy Adams? This is what we're doing right now? This is sad.
What was his name?
Sammy Adams.
No, that's not his name. Asher Roth.
Oh, Asher Roth. What's the Sammy Adams song I'm thinking of?
It's Asher Roth. This is like my theme song. Like,
wait, what's the song I'm thinking of?
It was awfully crazy.
Ashley Wusu, are you listening?
Drink my beer and smoke my weed. I didn't do any of that though.
No, definitely didn't.
I didn't do any of that.
No,
but I embraced everything about college. It is the best. It's the best 4 years of your life, and
could be 5.
Yeah.
And it could be 5.
I was devastated. Like, I remember getting back to school after regionals, and the Diamondback, like, I'm walking through the dining hall, and the front page is just me sobbing into Coach B's arms. I'm like, really?
you're
Like,
you're
you
old
guys
school.
couldn't have found a better picture. Like, I just have to see this reminder of like my college career ending. Like, I legit was devastated. Like, it took me to this day. I don't think I'm ever going to fully recover from that game.
Maybe you can get another year of eligibility.
Maybe. Hey.
Last part.
Do you guys want Matt to freestyle again?
Oh God, we're not up to that. They're gonna honestly X out of YouTube before we even get through it. The last thing I wanted to say is that, well, we're back on the WNBA for 1 sec. The super team is complete. It's complete. I think I remember coming on and saying that the Liberty might have to get rid of somebody. I don't know.
They found a way.
I don't know what the fuck kind of wizardry you're doing or like what y'all are getting away with. But the Liberty are able. They signed Maureen Johannes, which means the full squad is back. You talk about training camps, and I was looking at that roster of, I think the roster's at 14 or 15 right now, and they're going to have to get to 11 or 12. And I'm like, damn, they're going to have to cut a ridiculously good group because that whole team is super playable. But I can't believe they were able to do it. All of the best pieces from last year, save for they moved Onion Were, and I think that's really it. They traded Beck Allen, but that's really it.
Like you said, it's either some crazy wizardry. How do you say it?
Wizardry.
We will go with that.
Yeah.
It's either some crazy what Matt said, or they're doing some under the table stuff. But I mean, hats off to the GM for like this. These are great GM moves to be able to pull that off. They're gonna be nice. They're gonna be really nice. I don't know who has the edge. It's literally like this between.
I cannot
aces.
Wait to dig
York.
into all that. We're so close. We are at March Madness time. Then we're gonna be in draft time.
It's the best time.
And then we're gonna be in W time. And this is spring fucking rules.
It does. I'm so hyped for March Madness. It's literally the best time of the year.
I'm so
a
excited.
basketball
I was gonna say
fan / players
for y'all that have suffered through the podcast so far. Next week we are going to be doing a little bracket unveiling.
Challenge.
We got a nice little gaming society game ordeal that we're almost ready to unveil. Like the next couple of weeks are gonna be really.
They're gonna be fun.
It's gonna be very fun.
Yeah, Matt and I are gonna do a little bracket bet against each other. See whose bracket goes the furthest.
The return of Shot O'Clock. I fear.
Yeah, you guys, in the comments on YouTube, DM us. Help me figure out what Matt's punishment should be when he loses the bracket challenge. Come up with some really crazy ideas. Like maybe he has to do like a TikTok dance / trend. Maybe he has to like that. Yeah, you guys help me out.
Nobody wants that. Everybody think of the punishment. We do have to go through all the places where people have to subscribe.
How are you doing? I think you should sing it today.
No, but here's what I think we should do. I think it has to be the both of us is the thing. And I think you need to play the I Hate College instrumental. Can you find it?
Okay, let's do it.
You ready for this?
Yep, let's do it.
What verse do we start? Subscribe to Gaming Society. You didn't go.
I didn't know I was supposed to go after that.
And on TikTok, and then YouTube, and then Twitter, and then
Spotify.
Instagram. Oh, Spotify. That's a new verse in the... Holy shit, this has to end. This is really bad. Can you please just subscribe?
Please.
I swear.
So then we don't have to do this anymore.
I swear our bosses are like, please get everybody to click these damn buttons. This is painful. We don't enjoy this. You don't enjoy this. It takes 2 seconds. Just hit the fucking button.
Literally. Anywhere you can subscribe to, subscribe.
Like this.
Come on, guys. You know you want to. We're pretty.
Yeah, please.
We're pretty corny, but we embrace it, so that kind of makes us cool.
This is support women's sports podcasters, as I always say.
Yeah, like now we'd rather guilt you guys.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
End the show.
Back in the